Hi, 1 and 2-year-old leaders. We're preparing for September 1st in our series called Back to Basics. In this series, we've been looking at Solomon and how God prepared Solomon to be king over Israel. And as we first learned, Solomon was given the choice to ask God for anything. He asked him for wisdom. And because he asked God for wisdom, he was given more than just wisdom generously. And then after that, we looked at because Solomon had gained so much wisdom. We looked at the books of Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and the Song of Solomon, and how he wrote down all of the things that God had made him aware of so that we could possibly make different choices based on his wisdom. Last week, we looked at how God had Solomon build the temple, and that God had designed Solomon to build that temple. As we finish up talking about Solomon, we're going to notice that, as we have seen with everyone, because Jesus is not a part of the story yet, that Solomon begins to make choices that begin to separate him from God. In particular, he made choices in relationships he had with women that forced him to choose to worship someone other than the one true God. And God has said to us all along, his people and us as well, that he is the one true God. He is the one that we worship. He is the one we praise. He is the one we are devoted to. No one or nothing else. And so because of that, God splits the kingdom. God takes Rehoboam, who is one of Solomon's kids, and divides and builds a northern kingdom, which is Israel, and then a southern kingdom, which became the kingdom of Judah. And through Rehoboam is where we see the line of Jesus come from the house of David. And so, obviously God needed all of this to happen, but he also told the people, if you choose a king over me, and Solomon, if you continue to choose their gods over me, then there's going to be consequences to this. We will continue to have to be separated. And so he separated the kingdoms. And that's what we're looking at in our lesson today. In fact, your small group time, you're going to help the kids understand what it is to divide things, especially with your little ones. If we could have had fruit and all kinds of different things for them to taste and eat, it would have been a whole lot of fun to cut apples and cut oranges and cut different fruits up for the kids to see how we divide things and separate them. But since we're not using food or fruit to do that, you have a bag full of pom-poms and straws. And what you're going to do is tape out, use some masking tape on your tape on the table. On the table would be best because these pom-poms will stick to the carpet, I'm sure of it. So if you can do it on one of the tables, use the tape to make a line in the middle of the table. And the kids are going to use their straws and blow. And I know your little ones, it may be a little bit slobbery, but that's okay. That's why we gave them big straws, and they can keep their straw. You don't need the straw back. They're going to blow the balls and divide the kingdom. So all of the yellow balls should go to the north, and all of the pink balls should go to the south, if we want to designate that, or if you just want to tell them they have to separate the pink from the yellow. You may have a different color, but there are 2 of one color and 10, I think, of the other colors to designate how God split the kingdoms. So that is your small group activity. I think the kiddos will have fun with that. You may have some of them that aren't real good at blowing. That's okay. They can continue to try to practice with their straw. Maybe you can get your teen helper or one of the other leaders in the room to help kind of be behind the kids, helping the balls, the pom-poms get in the correct spot. Your memory verse, we don't have actions for, but you can use your voice in different ways to say this one. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. James 1:5. So maybe you want to say it or maybe you want to say it really, really loud. Or maybe you want to use a different voice. Maybe you have a Mickey Mouse voice or a Donald Duck voice that you could say it with. And they could choose their voices that they'd like to say it with. Or maybe they have a favorite character that they'd like to see you mimic. That would be a great idea. Then you also have coloring pages. If you'd like to share a coloring page with the kids. Remember, while the coloring pages are not necessarily little kid friendly for coloring, the reason we like to use these coloring pages is because what is included on the coloring page, and it helps describe for families what we are teaching. Ways that they can have discussions at home about what we are teaching, as well as an activity that they can do at home. If parents want more than that, we provide resources on our website and on the Parkway app. They can go down to parent resources and get a copy of what we provide. There's a weekly activity to correlate with whatever lesson we're teaching on that Sunday. And then when Wednesday night groups start up, they teach the exact same lesson that we taught on the Wednesday before. And so it's good for our kids to hear it more than once. It's really good for them to continue to hear the exact same words, to begin to trust in the same God who doesn't matter who the leader is, they're going to begin hearing the exact same thing over and over and over and over again. All right, then you can pray and dismiss your kids when the families come get them. Thank you so much for leading. I look forward to seeing you guys again soon.